behind the femur over here, and so it innervates the eye round in two places.
Yep.
It's relatively irrelevant where that happens to happen, where that occurs, because save for the Ashkenazim, who try to take out one branch that looks like a shin and one branch that looks like a kuf, and good luck with that. You're going to leave ground meat, and that's why nobody does it anymore. So one branch of the innervation is here, the other branch is right in the middle of it, so it's about a quarter of the way down, about halfway through. The rest of it is relatively smooth sailing. Eye round is flat on this end, and it's kind of spirit-headed on this end. It comes to a head that looks basically like kind of like a wedge or a maul. In other words, not sharp like an axe, but it comes to a gradual edge, and it's the end of the pelvis, the very end of the pelvis. Okay, the bottom round goes around the pelvis, but the eye round actually sits on the end of the crotch portion, the floor of the pelvis, they call this, okay? So over here, you're going to take off what's just basically a one-dimensional cut in order to open this up and expose it. You're going to then pull back towards you, and as you do, you're going to have to liberate. You're going to have to loose the eye round by tracing the seam between it and the bottom round, okay? The bottom round, biceps femoris, is the single largest muscle on the carcass. If you do a competent job removing the eye round and denuding it, save for the subcutaneous fat cap, I will permit you to attempt the next step, which is the bottom round. If this is too difficult for you or takes you too long to learn, we're going to do eye round today, bottom round next week. We're going to do the knuckle after that. We're going to do the shin after that. We're going to conclude with the tenderloin and the strip loin, okay? That's it. That's going to put us through somewhere in August, and then we're done. I got to move on. We got other things to do. Come and practice as often as you want. As long as you coordinate with me in advance, I'll let you do it. With the caveat, as explained on the message to the group, that I can't sit with you and give you private tutoring all day long. That's not what you paid for. It's not what I signed up for. I will give you feedback. I will give you cuts to work on. You'll have to come and work on whatever it is that we're doing, because I can't obviously go have a side of beef delivered just that you can pick one muscle off of it. But you can practice as long as you're able to help and lend a hand. That way, I'll then move on to remove the top rounds of most of these carcasses, because it takes me somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes to do it. It's not a very long operation, and that's if I do it fancy and pretty. Leave nice looking muscles under it. So, all these are done. Those are older. This. Notice the angle of my knife. At what angle am I holding my knife?
Pretty much parallel to the length of the
Just about
leg.
flat.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking to tease a very, very thin layer of muscle that's sitting just over the heel on this side, and it only abuts the bottom round over here, okay? In fact, if I had to trace this out and guess more or less the shape it was going to take, it would look something like this, okay? Don't do that. Now, this is how this works. You see there's a thin layer of muscle up here, and you see there's silver skin right under it? Can everybody appreciate that this was red and that's white?
Yes.
Okay. So I started by knifing off a thin layer of muscle. Now all I'm going to do, and I'm going to turn the knife out a little bit, not because my goal is to cut into the silver skin over here, but I'm going to trace and cut along it. The heel is now exposed. Remember, on the top round we exposed this part of the heel in its silver skin. I left a piece of top down the silver skin here, that's because I did a very tight job. So when you're loosing the top round, remember we talked about how you go over here. I'm going to show you this again. Back up, turn your knife up, and you stop when you hit the femur. That's going to be your guide. Okay, I shaved off what? A quarter gram of meat over here. When I get to this point, I'm going to be careful and turn my knife out so that I don't start shredding the heel. It's actually useful meat. Not very expensive, but it's useful. I get up to the eye round once I take the top round off. Remember, we come back down, make sure everything is shaved off. We're going to leave this, the ischiatic head of the bottom round, turn my knife down, and then we're just going to clean it off the pelvis, pick it up, take it off. That was the top round. The next muscle in the series, the eye round. We said we're going to start up on the top. We're going to cut down. Okay, get a good nice bite with your knife, and you'll see that by not using the entire length of my blade, but kind of the first, I don't know, third of it, I can pull this hard. I'm pulling hard. I can pull this down, and I can basically tease out the seam between the bottom round and the eye round. Okay, the eye round is a great roast. It's actually a very useful product, really good for jerky, but it happens to roast and make very pretty medallions because it's effectively somewhat triangular, almost cylindrical shape towards the end. Did you see what I did?
Yes.
I went down to the Asiatic head of the bottom round, biceps femoris. That's what attaches it to the backside, the outside of the pelvis. You'll notice that there's very little scoring or gouging over here on the eye round. Again, this amounts to what? I didn't even lose meat. I accidentally cut into it. It's fine. It's a quarter of a gram. It's going to be okay. I am not cutting into the bottom round. I don't have to. And at this point, all I need to do is just to recuperate the eye round. I'm just going to pull it out. You see how the silver skin on this side is now exposed? All I need to do is turn my knife down. Okay, there's a piece of top round over here, which is fine. And we're off. You're going to hit the bone. If you try to go too low, which is fine, nothing will happen to you or your knife. Eye round has successfully been removed.
But there's no silver skin between this muscle and this muscle and the eye round?
It's a seam. There is a little bit of silver skin that's relatively thin.
If you pull it apart a
Okay,
little bit?
now, here's the part you're all going to have to learn because it seems like very few of you have actually figured this out. You take a muscle off the carcass, you need to know how to put it back. You're going to have to explain to me where this muscle came from, what side it came off, what's next to it on this side, what's next to it on this side, where there is the gid or shuman hagid, what's subcutaneous fat, what's not. Or, in other words, what's the inside and the outside of the muscle. Okay? What it abuts, what it adjoins on all sides. So here's me putting this back together and learning what this looks like so the next time I see an eye round, I know where it came from. Okay? That's it.
Why do you call it eye round?
Because it has the shape of an eye. The cross section of it is pointed here around there, just like our eyes. That's actually not a bad one. Some of these things are a little